Hi, my name is Desiree Mosley. I am 26 years old, and this is my story.
My everything, I give it to you. Give it to you. The author of every story, I know that you are for me. You're so faithful. Yeah, yeah. When the sun rises every morning, I wanna give you glory. I'm so grateful.
So, I was born in St. Louis, Missouri, but I was raised in a small town called O'Fallon, located in Illinois. And O'Fallon, Illinois is pretty much a predominantly white town. They used to make fun of me and call me an Oreo because of the way that I talked and the people that I used to hang around with. And I'm just like, okay, whatever. I honestly don't care. Growing up, I was super close with my siblings. I have 3 brothers and 2 sisters. I grew up in a 2-parent household. First of all, I'm super thankful for my parents. Like, just the way that they raised me and my siblings, how they loved on us and supported us and still do to this day. I'm super grateful for them. So I thank God that He gave me amazing parents, and they definitely have shaped me into the woman that I am today, along with Christ. My parents raised me and my siblings to always serve Christ. They were youth ministry directors, Sunday school teachers. They used to host Bible studies every Thursday. So they definitely exposed me to God, and I thank them for that. If I wasn't playing sports or out hanging with my friends, I was at church. They used to always call me like goody two-shoe, because you know, whenever you grow up in church, you have to carry yourself a certain way. Like, you know right from wrong. There's things that Christ does not condone along with your parents. So there's just things that people used to do, and I used to just be in the background like watching, because one, I didn't want to get in trouble with my parents. My parents were strict, and I thank them for that. But you know, being the church girl, there was just a way you had to carry yourself. So that's why people be like, oh, there's a problem, or they're in shock of like who I am today. But honestly, God has always been a part of my life. It was just when I, became a teenager and I was exposed to new things and new environments, that's when I kind of forgot, who I was in Christ. So when I went off to college, that's when everything just shifted, and I'm talking like in a bad way. Like, if you knew me back then and you know me now, thank God for redemption, because so I went to the University of Illinois in Urbana-Champaign. I got my bachelor's in recreation, sport, and tourism. And my freshman year was something else. I feel like everybody freshman year is something else, because you're new on a new campus. There's thousands of people. There's parties. There's something to do every day throughout the week. I definitely started to live a worldly life. I was indulging in sexual immorality. I was getting drunk every weekend, gossiping, how I dressed. I really had on clothes whenever I went out. I was just, skin this and skin that, like everywhere. I was losing focus on what I went to school for. Like, I'm here for my education, but my focus kind of shifted from that to parties and getting drunk and, things that I had no business indulging in. And thank God I made it throughout my 4 years. I graduated. After I graduated, I came back home. I took a gap year. I was working at Amazon, and I was working at a nursing home. I was really chasing after money, because I've always been independent. I never really wanted to ask people for help. I always wanted to figure things out on my own, because I felt like when I did ask for help, I couldn't receive the help that I needed. So it was just like, don't worry about it. Desi will take care of it. Desi got it. I prayed every now and then, but honestly speaking, I did not have a prayer life. kind of forgot about God. It was always me, and what I wanted to do. After a year passed, that's when God started to like call me back to him and rip everything out of my life that I thought I needed and I wanted, and to shift my focus back on him. At the end of that gap year, God really started to remove people, places, and things out of my life that really took a toll on me, and it took a couple of years for me to actually like forgive and forget and get over it. I was just falling out with people that were closest to me. I was in a very toxic relationship and God kind of ripped that away from me, which I thank him. I was watching this sermon from 2819 Church. Pastor Philip Anthony Mitchell. Y'all have not watched a sermon from him, I recommend that y'all just go on YouTube and watch the first sermon that pops up. He spoke about idolatry, and he said that like whenever you put something before God, that's giving him an opportunity to rip that away from you. I always had in the back of my head that I was going to go to Texas A&M to get my master's, and my life was just not going how I wanted to go. I made a decision that I was just going up and move to Houston to get in-state tuition, and then off to College Station I would go. After that year, I moved to Houston. I almost lived in Houston for a year, but when I got to Houston, I was still doing the same things. Partying every weekend, getting drunk, indulging in sexual immorality. It hit me like, I'm still young, I'm only 23, like I have so much life to live, and I'm over here stressing about bills, I'm chasing after money, you know, I don't want to ask nobody for help. I just feel like I can do it on my own. And once again, God humbled me. And I decided to move back home and live with my parents for a couple of months. So I thought it actually turned into another year, but I thank him for that because my car ended up breaking down. I had no transportation. I started waitressing. Anytime I was applying for jobs, searching for jobs, and whenever I started waitressing, like the money was good, but I still was not satisfied. I just felt like, okay, God, what are you trying to tell me? And what he was trying to reveal to me is that instead of trying to run away from my problems, because like I mentioned, everything was kind of shifting whenever I moved back home after school. He kind of took a lot of close relationships and friendships away from me, and so me moving to Houston was my idea of starting over and letting go of everything in my past and have a fresh new start. But he was like, no, you need to heal and really process back in Illinois. You can let go of always trying to figure things out on your own. You to come to me to really surrender your life and all your desires and ask me for help. God was telling me that you are running to everything but me. The revelation that I have now is worth more than anything. While I was waitressing at this restaurant back in my hometown, I'm like, I can't continue to do this. I actually kind of had a bad situation there. When God is calling you something better, he's gonna make you uncomfortable, right? And so I ended up applying for the Texas A&M Distance Education Master's Program in Sports Management. So all my courses were online. I'm like, it's time for me to do better. Once you know better, you do better. And I'm not going to continue to prolong this, although I did want to take classes in person, but God was like, no, that's not in the plan. I ended up applying, I ended up getting accepted, and I'm about to move back to Texas. I prayed about it. This time I was doing it with God's guidance and not on my own. Completed my first year of grad school online in Illinois, and after that first year, I'm like, okay, I'm about to go back to Texas to finish my last year of my grad program. And let me just tell y'all, when God is telling you to do something and you are walking by faith and not by sight, one, it's not gonna make sense to you at first, and it's definitely not gonna make sense to people around you, not your family, not your friends, especially if they don't have their own personal relationship with Christ, right? And at that time, I had a good job. I had a state job. I was working for the state. Could make my own schedule. Wasn't really doing much. It was great. I was working from home, and people were like, why would you give that up to go back to Texas? Then you still gonna be taking classes online, so there's really no point. No, I'm still moving to College Station. In January, at the beginning of this year, I moved to College Station, and I didn't have no savings account. I came here with 2 suitcases. One suitcase was filled with like my room decor and everything. My other suitcase was filled with 2 pairs of shoes and some clothes. It wasn't a lot. It was not a lot, but everything that I needed was in those 2 suitcases. Sometimes we think we need more when God is actually saying, all you really need is me, right? Moved in, was staying on campus, and didn't have no job, but I'm like, God was telling me to move here. He will provide. Like a month and a half after I moved, I received 2 job opportunities, each that dealt with mentoring, and that is something that I am passionate about. I think that mentorship is important and that everyone should have a mentor. And so through these opportunities, I was learning, I was growing, I was meeting new people and learning new things. And one of the opportunities actually paid for my tuition. But God, tuition is really for students that take courses in person. But because God is a waymaker and God is capable of doing things that no human being can, He made a way for me. Don't have to stress about tuition. On top of that, they're paying me and I'm doing things that I love. And I'm like, if I'm doing it, I'm doing it with you. I'm surrendering. I'm letting go of my will, and I'm letting the Holy Spirit consume me, and you are guiding me and telling me what it is I need to do, what it is I need to say, who it is I need to talk to, what it is I need to eat, what does my routine look like anything and everything. You can have it all because I know that you know what's best for me, and I don't. I'm not independent. I don't want to be independent. I'm dependent on God. God is my strength. God is my source for everything. Let me just say this. The YouTube was never in the plan this year. I created a vision board before I moved, and YouTube was not on that vision board. TikTok was, but YouTube was not. But I see how He is telling me to use my creative abilities that He blessed me with to shine light upon Him, to give Him the glory, because everything that I have and everything that I do is because of God, and I never want to take that credit away from Him, and I would never do that. Whenever people compliment me, I'll be like, yeah, God did, not me. Not Desiree. What does surrendering look like? I think surrendering is really when we let go of our own desires and the things that we think are best for us, and allow Him to consume everything in our lives. And it's like you can't do anything without Him. You can't. Like, when you fully surrender everything that you do, God is in the center of it. And if He's not, then you know that you're operating out of flesh. And the things that He's doing in my life, not even about the tangible things, it's the way I look at life, how I process information now, how I try to show up every day, how I try to love on people and really be like Him. If it was easy to do it, everybody would do it, but it's not. It's not at all. Like, sometimes I will come home and I'll just be on the verge of crying because I feel like I failed God because of a certain way that I responded to somebody, or how I allowed my emotions to override my actions. And it's just like, oh my goodness. I know I would never be perfect, but as long as I continue to seek Him at the forefront of my life, I know that I will be all right. It's not easy, but I wouldn't want to have it any other way. So yeah, that is a little bit about me. That is my story, and I hope that you all stay for a while to see how God is moving in my life and to see that I am a walking testimony of God's love, light, grace, and mercy. I am excited to share my journey with you all in hopes that you will have an encounter with Him that you can't deny. Also proclaim and spread the gospel. If you're not building His kingdom, then what are you doing?
'Cause